Here we have the NITRON shocks. I mean, one, they're a thing of beauty. How's that? New brakes, new shock.
So after the last video, you saw all the amazing parts that turned up, but on this episode, Mr. Josh Wigley is going to be reassembling the brake discs, painting the center hubs, putting all the new bolts in, then setting up the suspension. This is a full day's work. All you people at home said, do not rush it, so we have taken our time and we are not rushing it. Josh here has got a list, which is going to put everything into very hard up. Bodged by Wigley, sign that one. Well, into perspective.
I could get myself a nice big whiteboard and whatever, but
that wouldn't be very us, would it?
Sorry, yeah, it's not very us.
So these panels are completely rested on there. A few people have asked why the vehicle is set up so weird. It is jacked up and put on blocks for the last video. Josh is going to take the front and the rear clam off, fit the suspension, show you how to set the brakes up, basically do everything in this episode. So you've got your whole work cut out today, mate.
Well, I'll get done whatever I can get done.
Yeah.
We got discs to put back together, brakes to assemble,
and work out where everything
calipers
goes.
to put on. I got some, well, lots of bits and bobs that I got to find as well, because obviously everything was boxed up when it was taken apart. Get the radiator put back together, get the fans all put back on, try and get the radiator back in, get the cooling system plumbed back up, which would be nice.
We've got new pipes coming for that as well, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
As long as you've ordered them, Samuel.
I'm a good boy.
He's a good boy. Yeah, I just brakes, suspension. I'm not gonna bleed the brakes up yet, I don't think, because just in case we encounter anything, we've got to take anything back off. If I've put fluid in them and then we go, oh, hang on a minute, we've got to take that caliper off or that side off to do
brakes and suspension assembled today.
Yeah.
Then on the next episode, we've got exhaust, full service, HT leads, exhaust brackets, distributor cap, and getting this bad boy running and hearing it for the first time on those pipes. Yeah. So a couple of really long episodes. This is detailed and important because it's about showing people how to do it properly as well.
You can't rush this. Everything has to be done methodically and everything has to be thought out because this car is very fast. And the last thing you want is to have something not quite line up right and then be doing 150, 160 mile an hour. And
a few people have mentioned on the video that it doesn't look like that car's doing 190, and I actually agree with you. In the video, there are cars that aren't going as fast, but the speedo...
I've never seen a caravan, sorry, doing 120.
No.
But it looks like it may have been.
Let me show you people at home real quick. That speedo on the outside is in miles, and the middle is 300 at the 190 mark, so that does show the exact needle position on the exact car. Doesn't mean the car's calibrated correctly.
Or that it didn't have a different set of clocks in it.
Yes, exactly.
There's every chance that it had a different speedo head.
Yeah.
And the speedo head that was in it was kilometres per hour on the outside. But you're splitting hairs. At the end of the day, it's on the motorway and it's going very, very, very fast.
The promise we have to you guys is we're going to get a very, very famous racing driver to work with us.
I'm not that famous. I said that
I'm not talking about you said it last time, it's an old joke. We're going to get a very famous driver to put this through its paces and see if we can get the 190 mile an hour out of it.
Is it the most famous driver you've never heard of?
Yeah. A man with, some say...
Some say...
Right, let's get on with it. Josh, get some stuff out. Let's go, go, go.
Yeah, all right, okay. Sorry, it's early. I need your help before you leave because, as usual, Sam is leaving. I'm going to start work and Sam will go. And Sam will come back this afternoon once the work is done and come back and probably claim some credit.
That was weird. I'll take it.
Yes. So, first things first. Obviously it was front clam off, wheels off. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attack this wiring loom. I just need to re-clip it back along to the chassis and then bring everything back up in. I can start like plugging the horn in and bits and pieces like that. Nothing very exciting. I'm going to give it a little wipe off. They were riveted, so I'm just going to, I was thinking of trying to tap a thread and just putting them in with bolts, but for the sake of easiness, I'll just re-rivet them. We shouldn't ever need to take it back off again in the future, so won't be too much of a problem. So get that clipped up, get that out of the way, and then we'll start looking at trying to put the shocks in and get the discs on and bolting all of the pieces of the discs together and so on and so forth. Give it a quick wipe down. Fortunately for me, before we took this apart, we went through and we tested everything, and all these electrical components are all working, which means that I've got no wiring issues. So I haven't got to take any of this loom apart, I haven't got to chase any bad wires, everything seemed to be working as it should, which is great if you're me, because it gives me less to do. Just feed that up through there, clips all up in through here, and then as you get in front of that bottom arm, it splits off. And we've got that, which is the feed for all the front lights that clips into the front clam. Got the horn. This stuff which goes up towards the battery and over. Yeah. Nice and simple. And then another one just there. And that is why you shouldn't cable tie things in place like coolant pipes, because they kink. I better sort of work those and squidge those back out, and then we'll probably put P-clips in their place and just P-clip it where we can. But I'm not going to re-cable tie that, because that will attribute to a lack of flow, which is, it's not great. Need to get a grommet for there as well. Unless it's fell in, I'll have to get underneath and have a look. Although it's only an earth, still don't want it rubbing really. I think we're gonna go and get some new bolts for our top and bottom shock mounts. And I think, I need to go and find some bolts for these. So EBC have supplied new brake calipers, and they've been through the discs and they've refaced them. You can see the facing marks just there, you can see it all. They're a bit dirty now because they've been sat for a couple of days, but I'll give them a clean off. So I need to bolt our new centres, our old centres, which I'm going to repaint. I need to fix them onto the discs. And the bolts that were used are not in particularly good condition, so I'm going to nip down to the local bolts sort of supplier, and we're going to see what we can find. Probably should do that now before it gets too late. Let's go. So I just about to bolt all of the brakes together, and I've been cleaning up some of the bolts that we've used to put the discs together, and I noticed that the first 5 or 6 that I came across, the threads were all knackered and some of them broke. So I've just been down to Portsmouth to ML Fixings, and they had in stock any bolt I needed. So I've got new shocker bolts, new bolts for all of the discs, new nuts, sorry, for the top and bottom arms, because somebody, Sam, bent 1 or 2 when they were getting the top and bottom arms off, Sam. So I've been and got some of them as well. I'd much rather use brand new bolts when it comes to the disc anyway. Just the car's like 170, 190 mile an hour. I don't particularly want bolts breaking in the brake discs, because I'll look like a wally. So yeah, boring bit of time lapse coming up of me putting in 48 of exactly the same bolt into 4 discs, tightening them, and then torquing them to spec. Fun.
This style of brake disc is in 2 parts. You have an aluminium hat and the cast disc. The main advantage of this style of disc is to reduce weight. Each weighs 600 to 700 grams less than a single cast brake disc. That's nearly 3 kilograms overall. But Josh will get to something called unsprung weight later on in the video. So while Josh has now finished all those bolts, is now getting on to that suspension. Let's get it done.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Here we have some NITRON shocks. These are ridiculously light. Obviously, I've just put dirty, oily handprints on, which I'm going to have to clean off now. But, I mean, one, they're a thing of beauty. I mean, you know, that looks really pretty just as it is, but I haven't got any scales on me, so it's very hard to show this down the camera, but they are a good, they're half the weight, got to be half the weight of the Evo shocks that were on the car initially. And that's great for two reasons, really. I mean, it's great for lots of reasons, but the overall weight of the car, if you can bring the overall weight down, that's great. You know, you've got a better power to weight ratio. It's going to handle better, it's going to be more nimble. But also, well, three reasons, I suppose. The less weight you've got outboard on the car, the better your centre of gravity will be. And the less unsprung weight that you can have, the better. So lighter brake calipers, lighter brakes, lighter shockers, lighter wheels, lighter tyres. Unsprung weight is something you really want to get down. It makes your suspension a lot more responsive. It's got lots of benefits. Google it. I'm not making it up. Right, so we're going to go from a relatively bare looking front end to new caliper, carrier, disc, shocker. Right, so I know this is the front because it's got a lower poundage spring than the rears. They've all been tuned and set up in such a way that they shouldn't have to have loads done to them when we get down to wherever it is we're going to test this car. Right, bag of bolts. Been and bought some nice new bolts for these shocks. I didn't fancy having any issues, so I also bought new nuts for the top and bottom arms for the ball joints. This is where having a YouTube channel comes in handy. I'm not 100% sure on the rerouting of all of these bits and pieces, where certain bits went and what way round certain brackets went. But fortunately for me, I'm on a YouTube channel, so I just watch videos back where I've taken everything apart. And I just do the same in reverse. Easy. I don't know if you've seen these yet. Look at them. How cool are they? They are the right way round, look at that. So let's just leave that sat there like that and offer the disc on. Like that. And then we'll just see where we are with the, yeah, see, that is right. Definitely that way. And let's just take a look at those. How cool is that? Oh, yellow, 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 yellow. I like. I mean, I know it's not all about looking pretty, but they are some big ass brakes, and they are by our friends at EBC, which is always nice. They are great guys, and their brake products are brilliant. Really good value for money. And well, they're yellow. Quit messing, bolt them on. May have taken me a whole day, but I have a corner. I found out the reason why the brakes weren't fitting. It was simply because the disc wasn't all the way home on the hub. So had I just put the disc on and then put some wheel nuts on 3 hours ago, I'd have known. Look at that. That is pretty. How's that? New brakes, new shock, all the wiring and the plumbing's all clipped up. I've got to make a pipe for the coolant hose. I've got to put the radiator in, but for a minute, look at that. Pretty. Took all day figuring it out, but I got there in the end. Shock's on, carrier going on, then disc, then caliper. Then we'll have a front. Nearly there, nearly there. Might have achieved something today. And hopefully, you can see how it runs on the wobble? That's because it's tight on the hub. And that was the problem I was having, because it was fitting and I was going to bolt it up, and by the time I bolted it up, I'd turned the brake disc and not realised thinking that it was pushed all the way home, and it's not pushed all the way home, because look at that, look how bad that is. 1, 2, 3, right. How's that looking? Pretty good. Now I'll be able to get these to fit. Just get you on there. Woohoo! Right. So, after much stress and wonder and stupidness on my part, we have a pair of front uprights with shocks, all looking pretty. Nice shiny new things, actually bolted on and fit in with no clearance issues. I'm not going to put the pads in, I'm not going to plumb the lines up just yet, just in case I've got to take any of it back off for any reason, but that, in theory, is final assembly of the front brakes and the front calipers and the front shocks, so on and so forth. They're all going to want setting up and adjusting, because I don't think they've been done since, from factory, obviously, because they've not seen the car yet. Up next is exactly the same, but on the rear. That's the rear shocks. So you'll note now, when you look at the rear shocks, that those springs, it's probably hard to tell down the camera, but they are visibly thicker. Obviously, the thicker springs are going to go on the rear in this, because that's where the engine is, and that's where most of the weight is, so it needs to support more weight in the rear. And back. Take those shocks out and fit some brakes inside there. Let's get the back lifted up. Get some wheels on the front, let the front down, see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. But for now, it's been a long day. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm going inside. I might come out a bit later, but for now, that's enough. I'm going to get this done. It's just a case of sliding the top of the column down. So, columns are somewhat extendable. They slide and collapse in. So, providing it's nice and free, you should better, there you go. Just pull the column down, get it in the right place, and then offer your bolt in. Just like that. Should we have a crack at fitting these pads? Let's have a crack at fitting these pads. So, these are, I think, the sort of lairiest pads that EBC do whilst still being road legal. So they're blue pads. Look at these. Yeah, blue stuff, which is combination street and track pad. Fast bedding, zero fade. Yeah, approved for most vehicles, track use. But they are also just about suitable for the road. Again, big thanks to EBC, they've really helped us out. They're a great company to work with, really helpful. Just gonna give them a test fit. May notice that I've not put copper slip on those pads, mainly because I don't really want to get copper slip all over my hands and then get the caliper all dirty at this moment. But for the purpose of right now, I'm just going to leave them off, leave it dry fitted. How's that for an easy fit and set of brakes? One bolt, one retaining clip, easy peasy. How great's that? And they are, look at how precise that is. That's cool.
Look at that. That is right on where it needs to be, just without touching. Look at that. I don't know if you can see how close the edge of the pad is to those bolts and backing, but that's good.
Wicked. I think this is going to stop as well as it goes at this rate. So obviously all the suspension will all need to be set up. The car's going to want corner weight in, and then sort of bump stiffness. It'll all be sort of, it's one of them things we're gonna have to use it, drive it, and sort of try and adjust it as we go. It'd be nice to get it set up on a set of scales and get it corner weighted properly so that we've got a good base to start from. I've got to try and convince Sam that's a good idea because it's probably going to cost some money. Well, it will cost some money, but one of those things is, you know, you've got a car like this and you've got suspension like that, it needs to be set up correctly, or else there's kind of no point having it on there. It's not a cheap suspension setup, so it pays to get it set up properly, or else it's kind of pointless. Right, should we fit those other pads quick? Woo. One, two. Then you have to push the pistons back because they're brand new. There you go. Pads in. All of the brackets and everything are all bolted up tight. Top and bottom arms are all in tight. Our lovely posh NITRON shocks are all in. We'll get the wheels on. Get it back down on its own weight, and then we can wind the shocks up and down, trying to get the ride out right, because it's really quite precise. There's not a lot of room in here once you've got the wheels and tyres in. So if it's slightly too high, it rubs down here. Down here it rubs if it's too high, and then you get it too low and it starts to rub up here and in the clam. So yeah, it's quite important that we get the ride height right. You can't do a great deal with it other than small wheels or smaller tyres to bring your sort of rolling radius down, but we don't really want to do that. Next job will be to do exactly the same but on the rear, but unfortunately because I was a donut and I couldn't figure out what I'd done wrong with the caliper mounting, I've run out of time. So you're probably not going to see any of that until the next episode, my bad. But at least be safe in the knowledge that I won't make the same mistake on the back, because I've learned from my mistake. At least the shocks went in nice and easy. New bolts, they just fell in. Brilliant. Couldn't have asked for an easier job with the shocks. But there you go. Never mind. I've got some new fittings, I think, coming for the calipers to go across to our braided hoses. I'd like to try and convert them to banjo bolts, but that's just personal preference. I just think they're nicer. Other than that, we know all the master cylinders work because we tested all of that before it came out. They're of a good quality. The front, realistically, we've got to put the clam back on and get the clam readjusted so that it fits nice. Drop the radiator in. I'm going to probably bolt the fans on in a minute. You don't really need to see that, it's quite boring. I get the fans bolted on and get the bracketry bolted on, and then I can slide the radiator in, get our alley paneling put up sort of along these sides. They need to just be cut to size and then just rivet it in. They just come on through there, just a bit of extra ducting essentially. Finished clipping the wiring up once I've got the alley paneling done, and the front is kind of there. But I mean, look at that. I don't know if Sam's got some footage from before, but how's that for an after? Quite excited to drive it. Don't tell Sam. But it looks quite cool. Next stop, back end. Get the shockers on, get the rear brakes on, get the little handbrake caliper things, get those cleaned up and put back on, and then I'll be attacking the exhaust. once the exhaust is all on and I've run through the engine, we've got some new filters and new oil, the plugs are already in it, got new HT leads, new distributor cap. As much as it ran okay, it you know, it's all a bit old, so if you've gone as far as cleaning everything, just as well put clean leads on and everything else. So that's where we're at, I think. Can't really see a great deal in there at the moment because it's a bit dark. I'll get the torch, we'll have a look. I'm going to probably take the alternator off and give that a wire brush. It was fine, it charged, but it's just looking a little bit ick. As for the rest of it, it's come up really clean. I'm going to give a few things another scrub and probably a dust and a black like in here, but the general sort of condition of it is good. Don't be fooled, those shocks are not staying. We've got new ones for the back too. New filter come in, the plugs are in, we've got new leads come in, new distributor cap, we've got a new air cleaner, obviously the new thermostat housing's on, we've got all new wigley clips for the coolant pipes. I need to try and get hold of Ultima and supply us with some new filler necks because they are, how does Sam say it? Minging? Minging? Yeah, minging. Yeah, so rear brakes on and we're kind of rolling, brakes and shocks. Hopefully, next episode, it won't take me half as long to get the rear brakes on and the rear shocks on, which means that you will have the rear brakes, the rear shocks, the exhausts, the manifolds all on, the air cleaner on. Let's get the engine bits and pieces done. And by the end of the next episode, we should have a car that runs and drives. We will have a car that runs and drives. I promise, Sam, I promise. One more day. We've got these vents. Obviously there's 3 in there, but there were 3 missing. They were in the car. I don't know if you saw in an earlier episode. So I can get those rebonded on. I may well try and pluck these off and just paint them before we bond them back on. Because it'd be nice to just get them all re-blacked. Or I could do them green. I'll ask Sam about that. For now, I really am going in now. I really am going in, gonna have some food, go to bed. I couldn't leave it there. I had to get the steering column done. Just so I know that the front's finished. Wheels on, let it down. Try and get the ride height right. And then we can see what it looks like. Next time. Goodbye.
Quick reminder, hit that subscribe button, the like button, and then the bell button, so you get alerts when we release new episodes, and follow us on social media too for extra stuff and more alerts about videos we're releasing, which at the moment is every Sunday and the odd Wednesday too. Bye for now.